to ASEAN People Speak, Season 3. I'm Regine Jessica Abuel, your host for this podcast. For our sixth episode, we will be joined by a human rights advocate in the area of education. She will share with us her knowledge on the current issues faced by the education system amidst the advancement of technology. She is the lead convener of the Solidarity for People's Education and Lifelong Learning, or SPELL in the Philippines, which believes that learning has its core elements in the five H's: the head, the hands, one's health, one's heart, and of course, the home community and planet. She is also she also leads the Philippine process of the ASEAN People's Forum, a regional network of progressive social movements and civil society organizations advancing an alternative people's agenda in the ASEAN region. With her work in these organizations, she has consistently advocated to overhaul the education system so that it becomes truly rights based and inclusive, with everyone benefiting from quality learning that can continuously transform and make people's lives more meaningful through lifelong learning. Everyone, let us all welcome our speaker for this episode, Ms. Raquel Castillo. Hello, Ms. Raquel. Hi.
Hi.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi. Good afternoon to everyone, to all our audiences out there.
Yes. Ms. Raquel, I believe you are in the Philippines. You are based in the Philippines. So it's wonderful to have a Filipino join us in this episode of ASEAN People Speak. How is everything going there in Manila?
Oh, Manila, it's been a season of get-togethers and sharing the happiness around of the Christmas season and the upcoming New Year. It's a little bit overcast here with low-pressure areas as usual, but everyone's still happy. We've been going out and having gift giving for our learners and students in our basic communities. So those were fun days.
Yes, thank you very much. That's wonderful to hear, Miss Raquel. Well, I think we're all very excited to talk about the education sector now in terms of technology, advancement of technology, and probably later on we might have to touch upon artificial intelligence as well. But Ms. Raquel, if I may start, our first question for you is that how do you think is ASEAN faring in terms of integrating the new technologies such as artificial intelligence in learning and instruction in the education sector?
Well, I think that for most part of Southeast Asia and the ASEAN, there has been very varied. Um, it's been quite uneven in the different countries. So you have some countries ahead of this, integrating, embedding, and adapting technology into their education systems. For example, Singapore, somewhat with Malaysia, a bit of Vietnam, but other countries still a way off into really um, maximizing the use of technology. But then, of course, because there are still debates, especially when we go into technologies, newer, advanced technologies like artificial intelligence and especially generative AI, I think that we're being a bit more cautious on this. And especially also because most of us still do not have the right, they call it the ecosystem. But for us, it is the socioeconomic, cultural context that really needs for these technologies to, to be embraced, to be fully supported by our governments, and also to be organically integrated in our education systems. So it's, in short, it's disparate. It's very much different in the ways that countries are able to do this.
You mentioned, Ms. Raquel, a while ago that the education system is uneven or very much varied in the ASEAN region. And you've talked about how prepared an ecosystem is. Can you tell us about or expound on that view or that aspect, ma'am?
Okay. Um, of course, when you talk about the education system, you're not just talking about the universities or the schools and
Mhm.
classrooms of primary and secondary students. You're also talking about the whole learning environment, the learning
Mhm.
materials, the administrators or the policymakers in the education officials, also talking about the infrastructure, the technology infrastructure, internet infrastructure that's in the countries. You're talking about also how much budgets are being reserved or allocated for digitalization, for instance, in each of the countries. You're also talking about how ready are the students themselves, the learners themselves, and of course the teachers themselves. How are they? We're not looking for technology savvy teachers, but at least not technologically challenged teachers. How much of them are there in our countries? So those things, the whole environment are needed. But apart from that, now ASEAN countries are looking into what are the regulatory frameworks that need to be in place so that we can facilitate the way that we are adopting these technologies, that we're not just embracing them and in toto and hook,
Yes,
line, and
or just
sinker
just
accepting
so other
everything.
countries are doing it. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So it's a whole ecosystem. It's everyone involved in the education system, even the policymakers themselves. Are they ready? Is everyone ready for all of this technology to come in?
I'd like to pick up from what you said a while ago, Miss Raquel, when you mentioned about everything, the whole learning process is not just about talking about the technology or internet being used, but it's also about how prepared students and also the faculty, even the policymakers and regulators in terms of the education system. In connection with that, do you think, or with that in mind, what do you think are the challenges being faced by the educational institutions in the ASEAN region in terms of these ecosystems? You've mentioned a while ago, yes, the internet, that not all countries have the same, I guess, bandwidth as well, or the capability to spread education and information through the internet as fast as other countries. But other than that, the education sectors in each country also differs because of how their varying ecosystems are. Can you tell us about these challenges that are being faced by educational institutions in the ASEAN region?
Okay, now we are post
Mhm.
pandemic, and at the same time that we have all these technologies coming in, generative AI coming in, but at the same time we have UNICEF says 70% of 10-year-olds not being able to comprehend. It cascades up even to the level of the high school, to the level of the college, because it's uh,
Mm.
during all those years, of course, all the high schools
Yeah.
went to college, and
Yes.
all the learning deficits are there. That's one of the things.
Yes.
Given that many 8 million are not in schools, how do we expect them to make full use of these technologies? What they will be doing, as even our own Department of ICT was saying, they're mostly not even using the internet to look for information, to find out about things, but more about using the social media to connect, to post all of these things in, not necessarily just Facebook, but also TikTok and such. No, so we have internet technologies there, but they're not really being used for learning. many of the ministries of education and our own Department of Education tried their best to migrate some of their learning processes online. This has been achieved mostly by private schools, private universities. For the public, only a number of governments are able to support the kind of digitalization, the kind of environments needed and materials needed, gadgets needed for the students. We tried our best here in the Philippines, for instance, DepEd. We wanted to give each student a gadget, but we couldn't. We didn't have the budget for that. Local government units will be getting from their own funds, trying to give each student a tablet, for example, to be able to use online learning or distance learning. But it just
It's not
couldn't
enough.
happen. It's not enough. So how can we actually make full use of these technologies in the education system?
I'd like to just circle back to what you mentioned a while ago, that sometimes AI can be used by students not for the purpose of learning, but for purposes of entertainment. And I think this is something that needs to be addressed. But other than that, is there any other thing that you would like to add on to what you've already mentioned a while ago?
Okay, I want to balance the earlier things that I've said because there are
Mm.
some good things that we can look forward to also with these technologies, AI, generative AI, if we are able to adapt them and develop them and use them on our own terms, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, it helps into content creation and then personalized learning. That
Mm-hmm.
personalized learning is important, especially in the advocacy of my organization, SPEL, because we believe in lifelong learning. And personalized learning on a big scale can be achieved using these technologies, these advanced technologies. AI can um, can
Can you
feel this
mention to
and
us, Ms. Raquel, some concrete examples how AI can be used in lifelong learning?
for example, they said this education deficit arising from the pandemic and we need to catch up. How do you catch up?
Mhm.
If there is a tutoring system and we can make use of this technology, why not? If we can have access to this, if everyone, if all the students who are having difficulty can have access to this, then AI is able to assess, to evaluate what is the best way to deliver the lessons to this particular student. And also AI has the capability also to see how um, how to make it more responsive,
Mhm.
the way
Mhm.
they are catching up the lessons, how they are delivered, making it more responsive to the students. But yeah, so that's one concrete way that they can use. The other thing also I wanted to say concretely, it can be used also to do away with all the very repetitive tasks. We've heard not only in the Philippines but in many countries, the teachers are saddled with so many administrative and other tasks that are non-teaching. They are given more time for the teaching itself, especially at this time that we have to catch up. If they are
So, are you
relieved
trying to
by
say, Ms. Raquel, are you trying to say that teachers or educators, instead of just focusing on teaching, are given other tasks which take
yes,
away time from them
yes,
teaching to students? Yes.
exactly, Reggie. That's what has been happening in the past. They have been trying to lessen it, but of course, you also need to do the reporting, the grading, the assessments, and everything. These
And
things,
Do you think, Ms. Raquel, technology can be a key to avoid this repetitive or administrative tasks?
I think that it actually should be used for these things,
Yes.
these repetitive tasks that if we can do away with this, then teachers and learners and students can focus more on the development, creative
Yes.
lessons, and also in the critical thinking, developing the critical thinking part, the analyzing part, rather than crunching, crunching out all this stuff that can easily be accessed through these technologies, no? Then it
Yes.
makes the learning more fun. And actually, I don't know in other countries how much we have gone forward, not only with chat gpt or generative ai in the field of content creation, but also in the field of augmented reality. uh,
Mm, mm.
it's something, it's another field, another part of technology advancement that I don't think it's still very common for many of our countries in Southeast Asia, no? Especially for low income countries, middle income countries, and even Philippines. It will still take a long time for us to embrace this even with our policymakers, because maybe it's so expensive. But it's one area that should be looked into because it's experiential learning, right?
Yeah.
That should be the way that our education should move forward to stay in tune with all the developments around.
On that note, Miss Raquel, that's a very nice message that you can leave to our listeners for this episode, that education should help us move forward, and it shouldn't be something that will discourage, especially somebody who is out of school, that it's tedious, it's difficult, and it's inaccessible. Education is supposed to be for everybody. And with the use of technology, artificial intelligence, and maybe a proper ecosystem that could be built by policymakers, which makes it more conducive or encouraging for students or even out of school youth to see education as something that will uplift their lives and not just to burden them because of just memorizing or having to go through very difficult mental processes and skills. On that note, I guess we want to thank you, Miss Raquel, for your time this afternoon. You have given us so many insights about the education sector, about the ASEAN region, and how technology has given some advantages and disadvantages in terms of literacy and education to students in the ASEAN region. Do you have anything that you would like to promote? Any social media accounts, websites, your organization, or publications, or any upcoming projects?
Just that as my organization Solidarity for People's Education and Lifelong Learning, we would like to invite everybody to please participate and join the processes. For example, at the ASEAN, at the World Social Forum upcoming. We are also a
Mhm.
member of Movement for Alternatives and Solidarity in Southeast Asia. And this are going into alternative pedagogy. So Spell might look at that in the upcoming days, looking at
Mhm.
how can we do less private education, but more of community-based, community-owned,
Mm.
and even teacher-owned. Is it possible to have teacher-owned schools?
Mm,
So
that's very
yeah,
nice. I mean, that's a very good idea. I mean, that's something new and
yeah.
very interesting.
So
Something that we could,
yeah,
venture on, because
to move forward with
it would be great to have teacher
mm,
owned or teacher driven
yes,
institutions.
Yes,
Yes.
that is our dream to see something like that, to have a proof of concept that it can work, that the teachers can themselves, uh,
Be
run
empowered
and
and be the
own
ones to,
the
yes,
schools together with the community, be empowered. Yes, yes,
yes,
actually.
that's very nice.
And
Thank
maybe
you
we'll
so
start
much.
with our preschool.
Yes, because
Thank
I
you.
do
Thank you,
agree that
everyone.
of course preschool teachers, it starts within our own community, and if it's something
Mm,
driven and the teacher is also the one administering, managing it, then it would be
yeah,
nice
yeah,
because it helps in community development and in
yeah.
not just institutional wise. All right, so join us again next week. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on Spotify to stay updated and never miss an episode. You can also stay connected with us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube by following at WG ASEAN HRMEC and visit our website at aseanhrmec.org. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, Ms. Raquel, for your time. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged. Goodbye.